Hey, it's MPH, also known as Miles.1 Guy. I'm here actually today with a very anticipated pit guide. Character is very underrated in my eyes, and I honestly want to get this character more on the map. As you may or may not know if you're in the Smash community, a player named Zachary has been making very big moves and a very big push for the character in recent times. People are starting to see the potential finally, but I still want to get the guide out there because I truly don't believe that there is a good guide on YouTube that is not outdated. Shout out to Space 23 for, the inspiration, because that's who I got the original idea to make a pit guide from. I feel like you'll learn a lot more pit specific things, here. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe if you want more content like this, and let's get into it. Pit is a very uncommon character, and as such, he's relatively unknown and unexplored to the public. While he's not by any means one of the hardest characters in the game, it never hurts to educate someone on a character like this who, in my opinion, has so much potential to grow. But at the end of the video, you'll be able to learn so much more about Pit, and you'll understand a little bit more about his moves and how his kit works and how you can make him work in tournament. Pit's neutral is among some of the better ones in the game, as he has a variety of ways to open you up and get damage and poke really well. He's a swordy with a projectile and a reflector, kitted with an amazing ground speed, particularly on initial dash, matching Fox, Diddy, and Wolf. Good grounded buttons and amazing aerials to boot. The way you'll get damaged the most is through whiff punishing. However, once the combos start, you'll be able to rack up quick amounts of damage. The neutral and matchup specifics of this character will actually be included in the sponsored section of this video, so please stay tuned. Pit's advantage state mostly comes down to maintaining a state of flow, as Pit is a character who is really amazing at keeping solid positions throughout his advantage state, and learning how and when to overextend is very crucial. While Pit does have long and extensive combos, such as drag down setups and up tilt strings, it's best to also learn and have simpler bread and butters as well in your repertoire, and leave most of the combos up to your muscle memory. Another key thing about Pit's advantage state is that early to starting percents, every straight hit you'll land in neutral will most likely be able to lead into follow-ups, which means either true combos or tech chases, and Pit has incredible ways to do both, his best options being Dare and Dash Attack respectively. Dare used to have a reputation of being a really mediocre move, as offstage its spike hitbox was only one frame, leading it to be less than consistent than most other spikes in the game. Niche is the word I'd use, as it still covers a lot of space, and you can cover a lot of options with it still regardless. On stage, however, is a completely different story. On stage Dare is Pit's best tool in advantage state. It's fairly safe on shield at only -8, with you drifting away. It leads into almost all of his arrows on hit, and it can lead into itself for a niche reset option. It even has platform extensions with his up tilt. As mentioned earlier, learning Pit's advantage state comes down to flow state. You have to learn his strings to the point of it being muscle memory to you. It's important to not drop combos and waste the chance of getting big damage, but also know where to cut it short, because somehow this quote-unquote swordy mid tier, according to the official Ultimate tier list, has some of the most in-depth combo game in Ultimate. Nair is a very misunderstood move in general, and while it's a whole different discussion itself, we're here to talk about the drag down portions of it. Using this chart on screen, I'll be referring to these hitboxes by the numbers on the chart. Hitboxes 2 and 3 both have very low knockback. This is why falling with Nair off stage often leads to people falling out of the attack. Pit is simply falling faster than the opponent being dragged down. These hitboxes are never plus enough on hit for any sort of drag down combo, even taking landing lag into account. This is why drag down Nairs from a down throw without the help of a platform are generally ineffective. Hitboxes 1 and 4 have much more hit stun than 2 and 3, which can cause certain characters, most frequently Luigi, to pop out of the attack if you hit him with one of these hitboxes too many times in a row. Hitbox 1 is reliably +6 when hit with a drag down Nair on characters of Pit's weight or lighter, allowing for a grab, down tilt, up tilt, or up smash, all depending on spacing. Hitbox 4 is the most rewarding of them all, being reliably +10 on characters that are Pit's weight or lighter. Since the lower hitbox has priority behind Pit, but the upper hitbox has priority in front of him, you can influence the position of the opponent in your Nair by either pulling back with the Nair to pull them lower, or pushing forward with the Nair to pop them higher. Additionally, if you intend to land with Nair, it's better to start the Nair as late as possible, giving them less time to be pulled into one of the upper two hitboxes, and making it more likely to get a plus on hit hitbox. It's also fairly safe to go for drag down Nairs onto platforms from the ground, since you'll be ending at a higher position than where you started, making it more likely to get a plus hitbox. Please note that drag down Nair can still work on characters heavier than Pit, however, inconsistencies vary. Use this to your discretion. As for general application for Pit Nair and neutral, it's -6 at its safest, unstaled, which means that you can space around Cloud up B without much difficulty. Bam. That move is safe against Cloud up B, which means that it's at least -6. However, typically, because you use it somewhat frequently, it will be -7 to -8. Making it safer than Palutina's Nair at its safest, no matter what, when it's auto-cancelled. However, if you miss the auto-cancel window, it will always be -11 to -12, leading into more than likely getting Added Shield punished. Also note that with enough drift, you can space Nair to be around Added Shield options such as Game & Watch up B, Lucina and Mart's up B, and Samus's up B. Finally, Nair's one big weakness is that if the opponent knows that you're going to Nair, they could just run back and hit you for it because of Pit's poor air drift. So be careful when you're using it. If you want to overextend, it's a pretty good button to overextend with. It also covers all get up options on the ledge with the exception of a well-timed roll on the first get up. If they re-grab the ledge, it legitimately covers everything. So use this knowledge to start bugging people with Nair and prove to everyone that Pit Nair is better than Palutina's Nair. It also kills pretty well for an edge guarding tool. Up air has 3 unique sets of hitboxes attached to the move prior to a final hit. The 2 side hitboxes are the ones that send outward, and the hitbox directly in the middle is the one that sends directly up. For the sake of simplicity and input reading, let's refer to the middle hitbox as up air D1, and the hitboxes on the side up air D2. Typically you'll be using D1 to true combo in the up tilt or up smash at kill percents, though at lower percents you can go for Nair combos if you catch your opponent shielding or dropping their shield in general. It isn't recommended to do it to some safety, but it is an option. Meanwhile, D2 you'll be using more as a general combo tool, whether it's for setting up for down throw, going from down throw, jab blocks on platforms, or kill combos, or going into F smash or up tilt, or alternatively if the full speed is fast enough, grab or down tilt. I'll be linking a video talking more about the combo theories for up air, but just note that we'll be covering a few later on. Also, up air now reliably kills after the buff that it received in multiple patches, and it is no longer vulnerable to LSI. Fair drag downs are very similar to Nair drag downs, so just refer to that section for how those are supposed to work. It is noteworthy to mention that most people who are heavier than Pit most likely will try to jump out of the fair drag down, so take that with a grain of salt. As for general application, you can generally use it to space. It is -10 to -11, so using it as a spacing tool is also very, very good to use in neutral. Not to mention it kills solidly and it has as much range, if not slightly more, than a Lucina and Mark Nair. Back air is an interesting move, where it has a sour spot that comes at various percents and a sweet spot that goes for combo enders. While it's not the most complicated move in its analysis, it is worth noting that Bair can be great for standing off of throws, as well as a landing mix-up due to its safetiness. As well as that, it's most likely Pit's best aerial next to Nair, because of its extreme safely being -3 at best, it's resistant to SDI, and the strength of 1,000 Suns, as it's able to kill as quick as Arson back air. There is a completely misunderstood move by the majority of players who know nothing of Pit, but it's an extremely good move. Let's get the most controversial thing out the way right now, the spike of the move. Dair's spike at low percents is negative on hit, and thus you can get reversaled. Only at 16% does it become neutral on hit, and being able to combo as early as 31%. This is the part of the move that comes out at frame 10 right below Pit. The amount of frame advantage from the spike goes up by 1 every 3 to 6% added, so for all you frame data geeks out there, you can figure that out. At high percents, typically you're going to be using Sweet Spot Dair not as a killing tool itself, but to set up into other kill moves such as F smash, up tilt, up air itself, or even Bair. The dash arms can also combo from Sweet Dair, but this is more niche in practicality, and Dark Pit will typically benefit from this more. The sour spot of this move on frame 10 is nothing to write home about, as well it does have a ton of hits done. It's behind Pit and thus harder to combo off of. However, do note that the mid percents you can start comboing off of this part of Dair into Bair and even set up for early kills this way. Also, a very important thing to know is that this move did get buffed, so while it doesn't kill outright all the time, it does send a lot lower and is a lot stronger than what it was on release. If you haven't figured out already, Dair is a unique move for Pit in that you can combo it from the sour and sweet spot. In fact, most times you'd prefer to combo from the sour hit, making some players say that the actual sweet spot in the move is the sour spot. But sour Dair is typically used at low to mid percents to extend extra damage or follow up from any of his aerials at varying percents. It has two different sour spots, one on frame 11, one on frame 12. The one on frame 11 has an inner hitbox that sends opponents noticeably higher than the other hitboxes with slightly more hits done, allowing for things such as down throw, Dair, Nair to be true. The higher angle of this move will also allow this to be less DI dependent, leading to more consistency. The frame 12 hitbox is the most common hitbox you'll probably get, and follows the general same rule as sour Dair on frame 10. However, hit stun scales too quickly to get anything true besides Nair or up air at most percents, so do with that as you will. As for general applications, you'll be able to use this as a button to cover yourself retreating, landing, or rising, and if spaced, as mentioned earlier, is -8 and has enough distance to not be punished at a shield. It can also be used to 2-frame majority of recoveries to either spike outright or to combo into Bair, resulting in either a kill or majority of the opponent's resources being used up. Down tilt is a pretty standard tool when it comes to grounded combo starters, as it can be used to poke and is generally easy to react off of if you get the hit and are expecting it. On hit, it has good frame advantage, typically allowing you to combo to all of his arrows excluding Dair on most characters, along with up smash in more niche situations. Up tilt is a multi-hitting anti-air, as well as a lingering ground move that can combo pretty hard into aerials or even set up for loop strings on some characters. Up tilt Nair loops are decent strings, but typically isn't true or completely applicable in most cases. That being said, you can do plenty of aerials from up tilt, most notably up air and Nair for killing percents, as they can either kill raw or set up into something much greater. Both up tilt and down tilt being frame 6 allows for some variety in approach to various situations. Throws are typically where you're going to be cashing out the most when it comes to damage and where you'll get the most of your setups. While forward throw and back throw don't necessarily combo into much, you have enough niche yet interesting setups where I feel like I should include them in this breakdown category. Back throw, having the weakest combo potential, can true combo the dash attack against any character at 0%. But outside of that, can only get back thrown down to at exactly 0 to 1.2% on characters that are either big bodies or have the full speed to make it true. Likewise with forward throw, you can do dash attack on everyone at 0%, but unlike back throw in most cases, you can pretty cleanly combo into fair as well as 0. Though note that pretty much after 0 to 10%, basically any good follow-up will be coming from down throw. Down throw is easily your best and most important throw, as it combos from 0 all the way to death percents. It can combo into any aerial and up tilt, and because of its angle and hit stun, it can create some pretty elaborate setups. This is where you'll get most of your bread and butters, and thus, this is what you should be using most of the time. At kill percents, however, at the ledge or near a platform, you can always threaten 50-50s between forward throw and down throw, though you can always cover all DIs. If the DI in, up air, and with IDJ, up air, killing outright faster, is an amazing option with drag down potential. If they DI out, Bear is an amazing option as well that can lead to super early kills off the side, especially on stages like Town and other small blast zone stages. Just remember to be unpredictable and mix up. Now earlier I mentioned having a sponsor segment. It's not exactly a real sponsor, but I decided, since I'm doing a pit guide, why not bring the best pit in North America on the show, I wanted to bring Silver from Canada here to explain the specials of Pit. He's doing a series on his channel where he talks about specific matchups and Pit. There, you'll be able to find the neutrals, the advantage states, disadvantage states, all that on his channel. And in general, he just makes really good content. He's trying to get himself out there. He also streams quite frequently. So go ahead, check out his YouTube and Twitch, and follow him on Twitter, bro. Or X or whatever. Alright, back to the guide.
Pit's arrows have two very handy uses, improving neutral and improving advantage state, more specifically edge guards. In neutral, regular Pit's arrows have the ability to go straight or curve up in anticipation of aerial movement or jumps. Depending on the matchup or the player, you can try to stuff out different lanes to help make the opponent's approach more linear. Pit has great aerials and movement for playing more defensively, so if you're able to force out an approach in the way that you'd like them to approach, then you can get a lot of mileage out of stuffing out their potential landings or whiff punishing the options themselves. It's also pretty handy for just being generally disruptive, and it can make it harder for some characters to play their regular neutral. Dark Pit can't curve his arrows in the same way, but his arrows pack a bit more punch. You can use the short hop arrow to catch a more air-based option, but generally his arrows have much more strength in stuffing out the grounded lane. This can make a big difference in some matchups, as the damage tacked on by Palutena Bow is simply not enough to discourage some characters from continuing their normal game plan. Silver Bow can either add the extra bit of damage needed to bait the opponent forward, or reward you a bit more for your efforts. For edgeguarding, regular Pit's arrows tend to be much more effective for edgeguarding. Most edgeguard attempts will be greatly strengthened if the arrows are used to help eliminate some of the variables that offstage recoveries can have. For example, an arrow can force an opponent to jump or air dodge, or otherwise get hit by the arrow, snipe a potential jump, or help to cover low or high while Pit goes for the opposite option. In these cases, precision is required to make sure that the opponent cannot move around the coverage, which would make it useless. However, if executed well, you can often restrict the opponent's options enough that the edgeguard boils down to a 50-50 or even better. Dark Pit's arrows have some potential for edgeguarding as well. The harder and stronger arrows mean that the line in which you shoot the arrow down becomes much more formidable, as at high percent, this is more than likely going to send hard enough to just straight up kill. An opponent may choose to respect this potential punish, leading to the recovery avoiding this middle line. If they don't respect it enough, you can punish them with arrow. If they choose high or low, however, the earlier you can force the distinction, the better, as you can position better and try to intercept before they try to make their attempt for stage or ledge. However, some characters have recoveries where both types of arrows simply do not eliminate enough recovery potential to be worth it. In these matchups, it may be worth considering playing Dark Pit instead, as much of the benefit that you gain from edgeguarding could already be getting nullified by the opponent's kit. Perhaps you can retool slightly and utilize the arrows for other aspects of the match, such as neutral. Side B is an armor option for the pits. Both variants are very strong, and basically are armored versions of up smash and F smash respectively. They're also heavily boosted by rage. It should be noted though, that electroshock will be a very strong option near a ledge. Generally, the best way to pull these moves off, in my opinion, is to expect the hit, and try to time their move to come in contact with you once the armor's kicked in. The armor does drop prior to contact, so there is a fair bit of risk involved in using the move to begin with. However, you have to account for the extremely slow startup in order to be able to use this move at all. There are a couple of other niche usages available for the move. With very precise ground spacing and less precise air spacing, you can ledge cancel the move, which leaves Pit actionable after he slips off. A common setup is roll from ledge, which perfectly lines up for a grounded ledge cancel. In last resort situations where you've run out of options, it is also possible to use side B for its heavy change in momentum to make it last dash forward, or to try and armor through a potential attempt to stuff out your approach into the stage. However, most side B attempts that are used to directly hit an opponent are very high risk, so use it wisely. Lastly, you can use side B to ledge snap, making it easier to both ledge trump and grab ledge from offstage without as much hang time. Occasionally, some multi-hit edgeguards are also intended to catch 2 frames, so if you're very knowledgeable about how long the armor lasts, you can hold down to avoid grabbing ledge and tank the hit. Up B is a far-reaching but linear recovery. It's a linear recovery with no hitbox, but it works very well with Pit's multi-jumps and also reaches quite far. The variety of angles means that you can choose many different positions to try and recover, but you're essentially going for ledge almost every time. There is a window during the startup where you can't immediately snap ledge, which means that you need to make sure that you're recovering from an appropriate distance. I find that mixing this recovery up with side B ledge snaps or air dodges provides enough mix-up. Arrows are a big support for this recovery as well, as they can stuff out edgeguard attempts or setups near ledge. Another note is that the grab box for up B is actually pretty generous, meaning that you can try to use the disjoint to snap to ledge from further away. Lastly, with the use of Pit's other recovery resources, he's also able to recover to the other side of stages that do not have walls into the blast zones. This can also help to avoid ledge setups or ledge traps depending on the matchup. Down B is a deceptively effective move at blocking out hitboxes. The protection is strongest at the start and gradually depletes the longer you hold the move. The move is also Reflector and is much more viable for this compared to side B. When broken, Orbiters cannot be used again for about 10 seconds. However, this can often be used to Pit's advantage, especially when the opponent tries to use a single hit move to attack it. The move also has win boxes, which operate similarly to how the hitboxes work. There's a slight potential to use the win boxes to punish poor recoveries. The win box is strongest at startup, so flashing down B is your best shot to use it for gimping. Otherwise, most characters will be able to survive by simply holding in on Orbiters. Still though, where it does work, it becomes a very potent hard punish for some character options that put the opponent into special fall. It is important, however, not to get too reliant on this move. Someone well versed in the matchup will know how to poke through Orbiters well, or may choose to outweight your option. Pit basically doesn't have any invincibility, so he actually is vulnerable in between the two hitboxes. The closer to the ground that you have to drop, the harder it will be to avoid the punish that your opponent may try to use. What this means is that you want to try and find a sweet spot where you can drop this move as soon as the threat nearby is gone. If this can't be done, then you may want to consider a different escape or landing option.
The guide has been concluded. I hope that you were able to take away a couple things from this video to upgrade your pit plays and allow yourself to be better at pushing yourself in tournament. As stated earlier, follow Silver on Twitter and Twitch, as well as subscribe to his YouTube channel. I'll be putting all the resources that I use in the description below, as well as his socials and mine. Let me know if you want any other educational content on Pit, or just let me know if you want to see online runs and such for content. I stream over on twitch.tv/mph_miles, and you can follow my socials in the description as well.
Sit down, come eat with me, take a seat, come eat with me. Leave your wallet at home, it's all on me. Grab a seat and come eat with me. Hey, Hey, sit down, come eat with me. Take a seat, come eat with me. Leave your wallet at home, it's all on me. Grab a seat and come eat with me.